Nothing's been the same since New York.
Oh, really? Well, I didn't notice that at all.
You experience things, and then they're over, and you still can't explain them. Gods, aliens, other dimensions. I'm just a man in a can. The only reason I haven't cracked up is probably because you moved in, which is great. I love you. I'm lucky. But honey, I can't sleep.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Every Marvel Movie Ever. I'm your host, Gabe Thomas. With me, as always, is your co-host, Francisco Alcala. Today, we're talking about Iron Man 3. What do you think? Because everyone in the world who's ever listened to this podcast, which is everyone in the world as far as I'm concerned, we are the most successful podcast of all time. My world, which is like 4 people. Everyone knows what I think of this.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
I definitely liked it. I still probably like Iron Man 2 more, but... Because, okay, the thing that I've been struggling with is I don't know if I like the first one or this one more.
Oh yeah, because you like Iron Man 2 the most.
Yeah, I like Iron Man 2 the most, which, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
But it feels so wrong to put Iron Man 1 as the worst of the 3, but then it would have to be if this movie is better.
In your weird world that no one else shares, where Iron Man 2 is the best Iron Man movie, probably, yeah.
I mean, okay. The movies actually being good, and my opinion of the movies are very different. I like Iron Man 2 the most, but it's definitely not the best one.
Yeah.
It's the first one.
Well, I'm glad that you can acknowledge that. I'm glad that you know that you're wrong.
There's like an actual review, and then it's my personal review. Iron Man 2 isn't that great, but it's still my favorite.
That's fine, because I think the universal ranking is probably 1, 3, 2, but yours is like 2, and then 1,
2, and then 3 and 1
or...
are just tied because I can't decide.
Yeah, which is fair enough. By quite a bit, this is my favorite Iron Man movie. I am probably the number one, and we just have to get this out of the way real quick. I'm probably the number one
Iron Man 3 fan.
Not just that, I'm probably the leader of the Shane Black fan club. I
mean, you made me watch three Shane Black movies,
I did,
including this one.
And
so.
we'll talk about those a little bit. But you gotta understand, I kind of discovered his movies at a very developmental time, and so...
Which is probably the worst time to find Shane Black movies.
I know.
Of all the movies.
It wasn't for me, because I was in a... Because, I'll write stuff from time to time, and I kind of... These movies kind of inspired, everything I would write for a couple of years. Just that kind of, quippy, quick dialogue. I don't know, where there's
the
lots
MCU?
of... But not because I think Shane Black and Joss Whedon styles are very different.
Yeah, they're extremely different.
There's a lot of... characters who talk really quick and say snappy things, but it's not the same as a Joss Whedon thing, where it's a little bit more earnest. I think Shane Black's kind of cynical about that kind of stuff. Usually he's got, he always has Christmas in his movies, no matter what. Every single movie he ever makes, he sneaks Christmas into. When you're watching The Nice Guys, and it's oh, there's been no Christmas, but this is a fucking Shane Black movie. Last scene. Yeah. Last scene is Christmas. And, he wrote Lethal Weapon, which is Christmas, and then Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang are obviously... Everything happens around Christmas. It's not the main thing, but it's just kind of the atmosphere where he sets his movies. Even if they come out in May, which Iron Man 3 did. But, which confuses me, because I'm what Christmas is this? Is this Christmas 2012, or is this Christmas 20... It's not... who cares? Probably.
I'm sure they fucked it up somehow.
Yeah.
It's Christmas of 2014.
Maybe it's the future. Who cares at this point? I mean, the MCU right now is in 2023, so whatever. Need to get that out of the way. I have a bit of a bias just because Shane Black is a filmmaker who's very important to me. I love his movies. I've seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang's in my top 5 movies. I watch that 10 times a year, probably. I don't know. It's just, it makes me happy. So...
There's so many offensive gay jokes in that movie.
I know there is. Yeah, I know there is. But also, it's kind of I guess kind of the point of that character is he's angry about it. Which is that's the whole thing, but... I don't think it's mean.
No.
I think it's that's the guy. It's the point, but yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend. Gay
Perry. Harry and Gay Perry. There's a lot of that style. Iron Man 3 is definitely more of a Shane Black movie than an MCU movie. I think that's probably a problem some people have, because you have you have references, like this is very reactionary to the Avengers, obviously. You know, he's got PTSD or whatever.
Literally the entire thing that like gets the plot moving is that he's having anxiety attacks.
Which is awesome.
And building a bunch of Iron Man suits to deal with his anxiety.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
That's how he copes. And that's great, because it leads to like one of the coolest showdowns ever in this movie. I love
one really stupid part.
Oh yeah, with one really, really stupid part.
Yep.
But you know, up until that point, it's great.
I am the Mandarin!
There's a lot of this movie, and I think this is a lot of people's problem with this, is it's a lot more of a Tony Stark movie than an Iron Man movie. Like, the end, there's 40 Iron Men that come in the start, there's a lot of, like, suits and stuff, but for the middle of this movie, it's just Tony Stark on his own.
Yeah.
He's got a nail gun and a glove and some ornaments.
That shit was so cool.
That's the best. I prefer having just a Tony Stark movie instead of an Iron Man movie. I think that a big reason that works, I don't know if it would work as well if it was a Jon Favreau movie, but no one can really write for Robert Downey Jr. the way that Shane Black does. Like, they're good friends, obviously, they go a while back, but I think that he completely understands how to write for him. Like, I think he knows his personality and what lines work for him to say, and so I think that's why all the Tony stuff works so great, where he's just on his own in the middle of desolate Tennessee, and it's perfect.
It literally felt like I was still watching Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah,
They're literally
right?
the exact same character.
I know,
and
they
they both have narration.
Oh yeah, they do. That's true. Yeah, that's another thing that he loves. All
Yeah.
of his movies kind of have. Other than the Avengers stuff, and you see a little bit of Avengers footage, there's not that many MCU references.
It's like more towards the beginning, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it kind of eases you into it. There's obviously, there's like a reference to Thor at one point, but there isn't too much. Like, I think Jarvis says something about S.H.I.E.L.D., but, I mean, obviously the Avengers is a big point, because this is more of a sequel to the Avengers than it is to Iron Man 3.
Pretty much.
That's how these movies work at this point. Like, Thor 2 isn't that
It's
connected to Thor 1, it's more connected to the Avengers.
Yeah, I think these movies are all just sequels of each other.
Yeah, I think an event movie happens, and then everything is a sequel to it. Like, Avengers, and then Iron Man 3, Thor 2, and Captain America 2 are all sequels to the Avengers.
And the
then
next
it's
big
like-
event happens.
And then Age of Ultron happens, like, Civil War. Like, it's always... And I think that's another reason why it works, is, like, the big events, because, you know, there's things like this where there's lots of destruction and chaos, but it's still on a smaller scale. Like, the president is being kidnapped or whatever, but there aren't aliens that are trying to end the world, or there isn't a robot that's
it's just
trying to drop a city into it. Like,
it's just fake terrorists and people that explode.
well, real terrorists led by fake terrorists, which we'll talk about. at
and
some
people that
point.
explode and can breathe fire.
And people that explode and can breathe fire. Well, the one who breathes. Don't think anyone else breathes fire.
No, I think it's just him.
Which is interesting. He does it like once, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And it does, like, he does it once, and I don't think it matters. Like, he just shows off that he can do it.
It's only for the quip. Budget $200 million. Box office $1.215 billion. The Avengers made a
job.
lot of money, so we're in it now, pretty much. Where almost everything makes $1 billion, I think. I guess if we're gonna apply some formula to this, we just talk about the villains right now. Aldrich Killian.
It's so boring. He sucks.
He's fine. He's fine.
He's such a nothing villain.
I enjoy the opening scene where it's Tony Stark in Switzerland on New Year's. You get I'm Blue playing, which is
Yeah.
a great... Because, you know, how did the last two movies start? AC/DC both times.
Oh shit, yeah.
This-
Yo, listen up, here's the story.
It shows immediately that it's a different tone, it's a different director that isn't Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau's in this movie for about 10 minutes, maybe.
And then he blows up.
Well, he blows out, and then you see him at the end for 5 seconds. But
Watching Downton Abbey.
yeah, it's his favorite show. Where I like that he has the Vincent Vega look, like from Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're doing there. Maya Hansen, and he meets Jensen, which is...
That was weird.
That always annoyed me, kind
Like-
of.
That doesn't make much sense.
It does. In Iron Man 1, Jensen says, we've met before.
We met once, you know, at a technical conference in Bern.
Post-credit scene, we get Bruce Banner,
Yeah,
which is...
falling
that's
asleep.
Cute. I like that. That's fun.
I'm not that kind of doctor. I feel like it's just nice to see, like, the Avengers just being, like, normal people.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, not Thor. Thor doesn't do that.
No.
but this and Captain America Winter Soldier really kind of do that.
Yeah.
Where a lot of it is like, they don't totally rely on their powers, they have to use their brains, which is good because, heroes should be smart.
Because they're people.
Yeah, they're people, they're not gods, which is probably why Thor
Except for
doesn't
Thor.
do that. Yeah, well,
I mean, he's an alien, but
he's
whatever.
He's not a normal person then, because, yeah. So Aldrich Killian. I like that it's another guy that Tony fucked over, which is how all these movies work.
That's literally like every movie that Tony has anything to do with. It's just a villain that he made mad.
Sometimes even when he's dead, it's still a
Yeah.
villain that he made mad. Like, I don't know how many of these villains are 100% Stark-based, even when
All
they're
of them.
fighting other heroes. Sometimes it's like everyone is either someone that Tony Stark ignored when he was being an asshole, which is all the time, or it's Hydra.
Or an
it's
alien.
Yeah, those are the three. So, I
They
mean,
go into three groups.
I don't think there's that many villains that fall into any other category, really.
Is there anyone that doesn't fit into that? Yeah, I think it's just those three
literally-
groups.
That's so weird that everybody is one of three things in this.
We have to get like one of those three circled pie charts out,
Oh,
or not
yeah,
pie
like a
charts,
Venn
but
diagram?
yeah,
Yeah, we'll make
and
a list.
just get them, sort them into groups.
I would love to do that.
Are there any aliens that Tony Stark has pissed off? Does Thanos count?
I mean, yeah, but there's no Nazi aliens, are there? Except Red Skull, he's on another planet.
Yeah,
But
Red
he's
Skull's
from-
technically.
He's from Earth. But he's been on that other planet for like 80 years.
Yeah.
He kind of
Does
counts.
Thanos count as, or no? Thanos, is in a
an
space,
alien.
but he's not a alien Nazi. He's just a
Oh,
crazy
as a Nazi?
alien.
No, he's not
Yeah.
an alien. But he's an alien Tony Stark pissed off. There's crossover, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure there's at least one alien Nazi other than Red Skull.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's lots of people that genocide. Like, I think Ego's drained 1,000 planets or something, right? 'Cause every time that
Yeah.
he finds a planet, he doesn't work for him. He
isn't
just
that
destroys
literally
it.
Ronan's entire thing?
Yeah, he does that too. Yeah.
Like that's just all he does.
I mean, he's got a hammer. Sometimes he'll, like, hit a guy in the head, remember?
Genocide by hammer.
Ant-Man's villains. They're not any of them. And Doctor Strange, his villain's just a wizard guy.
Yeah. So there's what, like
There's three
There's three
exceptions. Yeah,
exceptions.
okay.
out of 23 movies?
Yeah, okay, so that's 20 movies where it's an alien, someone Tony Stark is pissed off, or a
Other.
Nazi, yeah. What do you think of, I guess we're not done talking about Aldrich Killian, I like Guy Pearce's weird makeup at the start of the movie, where he's got like a hunchback. He's trying to pretend he isn't a god. Like, he doesn't look like a fucking Hollywood man. He's a nerd.
They did so much to try to like fuck him up. Like, kind of worked, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
But you can
but
still tell it's him.
you can still very obviously tell that that's like an hour or two of makeup.
Yeah, all they
It
did
looks
is put a
funny.
little bit of makeup on him and just make him look like really sweaty and just have him like hunch over
Give
a
him
little.
cane,
Yeah.
that's it. I still think it works. And he's like, yeah, I was on that roof and I was gonna kill myself. That's awful of Tony Stark, though. It's not just like he forgot. Like, he told him that he was gonna leave him
Yeah,
on the
and
roof.
then just didn't.
Well, he knew he wasn't going to.
Yeah.
Though. Like, I think when I was younger, I was like, oh, so he just forgot, right? But
No.
he never had a plan to at any point. He was just like, oh yeah, I'll meet you up there, and then he
never
yeah,
did.
he just fucking left, which is it's a good enough motivation. And then he shows up and he's like, oh, sorry, that's the universe. My bad. Let me show you my big brain. And he's like, big brain. Here, I'll show you.
He's showing her his big brain.
He's fine, and then he fucking takes off his shirt and he's got like Fing Fang Foom on his
Yeah.
back, and he's like, I'm the Mandarin, which is awful. That's like the worst part of this
Yeah, I
movie
hate
that I
that.
fucking love.
The Mandarin is better.
So I guess we have to talk about him. When this movie came out, all anyone would talk about was the Mandarin, because what people know about the Mandarin is he's Tony Stark's arch nemesis. He's got 10 rings of power that he got from an alien spaceship that had dragons on it or whatever. He doesn't run a terrorist organization. That's not really what he's about. The 10 rings, we found out in the first Iron Man movie, that's like what kidnaps Tony Stark. So it's kind of been worked in as a terrorist thing in these movies. But
Are they just retconning that in the Shang-Chi movie, or does that have nothing to do with it? Because that's also the 10 rings.
well, I think that's gonna be literal Mandarin that people want. Like, that's gonna be Mandarin with 10 rings of power and all that.
So is it just a really weird coincidence that there's a terrorist named the Mandarin that runs an organization called the 10 Rings, but there's also an alien named the Mandarin that has 10 rings of power?
If I
Is
had-
this just a really weird coincidence that no one was supposed to know about? Did they not think this through?
Yes. But if I had to guess how they're gonna do it, they'll be like, oh, the
The
Mandarin.
Mandarin runs the terrorist organization. The alien runs the terrorists.
Maybe. I'm thinking that it's gonna be like the terrorist organization was inspired by the legend of the Mandarin. Like
Maybe.
the Mandarin with the 10 rings of power, he probably was some like I'm sure he's like some ancient icon in this world or whatever, and they're like, oh, the 10 rings represents whatever. That's how I assume they'll do it. Like the terrorist organization was inspired by the real Mandarin, probably.
Or they've known about
But-
aliens all along.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, this world knows about aliens at this point, I guess, right? Captain Marvel, that was the 90s.
Would they know? What is that general knowledge?
Captain Marvel thing?
Just are like aliens in general before Avengers?
I don't know.
I feel like that would be like some Area 51
I'm
shit.
sure
Like,
we'll shield in this universe.
Yeah.
Probably.
I
Whatever.
seriously doubt it would be
Doesn't
common
matter.
knowledge.
I don't know.
Either way, they didn't think this through.
Think it through. This movie comes out. Everyone's really excited to see Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. Sir Ben Kingsley. Again, that's that thing that we love, where actors are knighted.
Because that's badass.
It's so badass. It turns out he's just an actor playing the Mandarin. He still shot that guy in the head on television, though, which is that's a pretty dark
I
thing
mean,
to show in a Disney movie.
He did say that it was just CG or
Sure, yeah.
something.
Green
Yeah,
screen.
green screen.
Which is-
You'll never see me coming.
I love that. That was in all the trailers also, I remember. Are you ready for another lesson?
It sounds like a bad impression of Jigsaw.
Fortune cookies are an American tradition. They sound Chinese. Get it?
They
Because
leave a
the
bad taste in your mouth.
real Mandarin in the comics is Chinese, Franny.
He's a Chinese alien.
Yeah. I mean, all aliens who look like humans are white. So
yeah.
there can be Chinese aliens. Maybe he's not an alien. Maybe he just has alien rings. I can't fucking remember. Most Iron Man comics aren't that good.
God, why don't you know your Mandarin lore?
He does have. Did you notice his tattoo that he has of the Captain America shield? But it's got like the Anarchy A in the middle. It's
Oh,
on his
I
neck.
didn't.
It's pretty
but that
rad.
sounds cool.
It's badass. I like the idea that the Mandarin is actually just an actor who they're paying. I think that the scenes with him, other than the initial reveal, which is pretty good, I think some of the scenes with him are the less funny things in the movie. I don't think most of his... I think the idea is great. I think some of the execution works, but I think I would rather... Like, I wish some of it was handled better, I think.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a good idea, and they were doing a good job of it. By the reveal, that was good. And then after, I feel like they just tried to make the joke drag out for too long, and it didn't
Sure.
really amount to anything.
Yeah, I think that first scene is mostly fine, but then they go back
Yeah,
with Rhodey, and that's when it's kind of like...
we don't need this.
Not really. I mean, it pushes the story, because they have to get the boat or whatever
was-
that he mentions, but
They could have done that any other
He
way.
could've-
He wasn't necessary for that.
he could have been like, yeah, Tony could have said that in that first scene. He
Yeah.
knows he's got to get out of there. He'd be like, give me the keys to your whatever. But yeah, I think Shane Black wanted to include one of his running jokes, which is he'll stop doing it, which happens in The Nice Guys also. Yeah, I'm not like, oh, it's not like the comics. Why didn't you make the Mandarin a big...
Why isn't he alien?
Why isn't he an alien?
Where are the rings?
Where are the rings? I want to see the rings! Yeah, but, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm not mad that it's different. It should be different. I mean, I think it's good. I don't like Aldrich Killian going, I am the Mandarin! Ooh! And then Pepper hits him with a big stick, and she's like, that was really violent. Like, I don't need... I mean...
And it assumingly kills him?
Yeah,
Isn't that the
probably.
last time we see him?
Yeah, he could be alive, I feel like. I feel like that wasn't final. I feel like if Iron Man putting him in Mark 42 and exploding it didn't kill him, I don't think hitting him with a rod
Maybe he
would.
was weakened.
I mean... he
And
probably
also
was
she
dead.
had the exploding
Extremis,
powers,
yeah,
so
Yeah. And they're not gonna bring back Aldrich Killian. Nobody fucking cares.
yeah. Just like they never bring back any villains.
Nope, except Red Skull.
Yep.
And Loki.
Yep.
That's it. Loki's a hero now, even though he killed so many innocent people in New York. All of them.
He did so many
seemingly.
bad things.
He's an awful person, but he's so funny. Oh,
But he has so many
tasered.
fans.
Ridiculous. I don't think he should ever be
Get
forgiven.
help.
He killed 80 people in 2 days. He ripped a man's eye out of his head and almost killed an old man in front of everybody.
He literally
A
destroyed
survivor.
the biggest city in the United States
Yeah.
and
But-
traumatized like millions of people.
But once
And also brought Thanos to Earth, probably.
once he turned into a snake and attacked Thor or whatever. It's okay. It's fine. Who cares?
It's fine. He's dead now.
He's dead now. Well, I mean, he's dead, but he's still getting his own TV show.
In an alternate
In
universe.
an alternate universe. Time, place.
With She-Loki or whatever.
They'll probably bring him back into the real universe somehow.
Yeah, probably. He'll be in Thor 4.
He'll be in Thor 4, more Thor. What about Iron Patriot? What do you think of Iron Patriot? There isn't that much to say. I think it's a cool design.
Yeah, I think it's a cool design. It is a little silly. Like, people make fun of it because, yeah, it is, like, kind of tacky.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
having a giant Iron Man suit painted red, white, and blue.
Exactly.
Like, going into, like, Afghanistan
Foreign
and fighting
territory,
terrorists.
and
Yeah,
exactly.
that's a bit much,
Well,
but...
it's supposed to be like Captain America for the modern day.
Yeah.
Even though we have Captain America.
Yeah, we literally have Captain America.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the whole Rhodey government dynamic, because Rhodey was always, like, you know, part of the military. He has been since the first movie. I think it's like Iron Man 2, the Nazis. I mean, sorry, the U.S. government. Whoops. We don't know that yet in these movies or in real life. They're like, oh, we want an Iron Man suit that we can use. And Tony's like, no, I don't do that. I'm a superhero now or whatever.
I'll make weapons. And
Yeah.
then he makes a suit for his best friend, who's also in the military.
No, his best friend stole a suit for him.
Yeah.
himself. But now they have Rhodey, and they're like, well, we can boss you around. So now they have their own Iron Man, so of course they're going to kind of, like, patriotize
Yeah.
it. I think that's really interesting. And it's a nice design, and everyone in the movie makes fun of it the whole time, so it works.
Yeah.
think.
I think I still prefer, like, the original, like, War Machine design, though.
Sure, yeah. I like this as a one-off. Like, it's
Yeah.
in one movie. Because in the comics, Iron Patriot isn't Rhodey, it's Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn leads, like, an evil Avengers team where all these bad guys pose as the superheroes, like Venom is Spider-Man, Bullseye is Daredevil, or I think Bullseye's Hawkeye, actually, because Precision or whatever, but that's a whole...
Can't believe Marvel really called themselves out by not being original.
Yeah, I know.
Where
right?
every villain has their own counterpart that's the exact same.
It's true, think about it. I mean, if you think about it, everybody has an option.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Mark 42?
I
Why does he I like it. I like that this movie has, like, its own signature suit. Why does he keep calling it when if it touches anything, it falls apart?
Yeah, that's what I never got. But also, I prefer some of the other designs better.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh,
this this design doesn't look that great, and also, the suit is apparently a piece of shit, so why does he keep trying to use it?
It's totally shit. I like that the whole gimmick is that it flies to him piece by piece. That leads to an amazing sequence when he's running through the house and he's getting the suit. Because he hasn't been Iron Man for, like, 50 minutes or whatever, and then he gets all of it. But
There are so many destroyed suits in this movie.
oh yeah, well it ends with him blowing all of the suits
Yeah.
up.
A long time ago, we looked up how many Iron Man suits there were.
Mhm.
And I think Endgame was marked like 80 something. Like, I think it was like 84.
Sure, yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how there were that many suits, and then I realized there's
42 suits in this
there's
movie.
42 suits in this movie,
Yeah.
and they all get blowed up. So
Blow it up. Yeah, that's like that leads to, I love that end action scene, because I think, like, all people who are big into the comics probably have their favorite suit. Like, everyone's like, oh, you know, I love the Heartbreaker, I love the Bleeding Edge, Silver Centurion, or whatever. You get every suit you could possibly want in this. So, like, your favorite suit definitely makes an appearance, which is great. My favorite was always the Heartbreaker, and that shows up for a second, and it's like, it's great. And he calls it out by name also.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, Heartbreaker, go help out, whatever. And it's great. You get the Silver Centurion, and I don't know. I think it's
you get
beautiful.
essentially a smaller Hulkbuster.
Yeah, I think that's, the Igor, I think is what
Yeah.
it's called. And it runs and supports that thing. I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's like a prototype Hulkbuster. I think that's what it's supposed
I
to be.
mean, they look about the same. Like, they have the same, like, general design.
Well,
so
the Hulkbuster's much bigger, though, I think.
well,
Like, much
yeah,
bigger,
it's
and then-
that
it's
one
the
looks
same
like
face,
yeah.
where it's kind of like the Iron Man face is like a whole head, and that's just kind of like the eyes.
Yeah.
So I think that's the same, and I really like that suit too. I mean, I wish he used it more. I wish he got into it. There's this suit that has like the drill hands, and he,
Yeah.
he drills those guys to death, which is holy shit.
like just the entire part of the end where Tony's just literally jumping between suits.
It's so
like they're
great.
just opening up and he's just jumping into them.
Yeah, which is, it's kind of an extension of... It's an extension of the Avengers where he's falling out of the building
Yeah.
and the suit opens up and he falls into it, and it's an extension on Iron Man 2. The ending of that movie, I know it's your favorite movie of all time, apparently, but the ending of that movie is a little exhausting, where it's just like Tony and Rhodey are fighting side by side.
Oh,
which
no,
is great,
definitely, yeah.
But they're fighting like 100 robots that look identical.
And they all go down like really easily, so
Exactly.
there's like no point.
No, not really. And then, fucking Whiplash shows up in a
And they blow him up in a nuclear blast.
very slightly modified version of the hammer drones. It's like,
Yeah.
there's so much like color, there's so much different stuff going on that I think it's amazing. Like, it's not
So many
100
explosions.
It's not 100 identical robots.
Yeah,
It's,
they're all they all look very different, and you can tell,
yeah,
like-
they're really distinct.
even like the more subtle differences, you can still tell, like some of them, yeah, it's pretty obvious. There's one with drills for hands and a Hulkbuster,
Yeah.
but then there's some that just have like slightly different color schemes, like a different shade of red.
Sure,
Like you can
yeah.
still notice it.
No, it's all different.
Yeah.
Which is great. And yeah, there's ones that are completely silver, and then the Mark 42 is kind of distinct because I think it's probably the only one that has like gold in it, which I think that helps. That it's like, okay, well, the suit for this movie is different than all the other ones. I like that you can tell that, and it is. I do love the bit where it's coming to him, and he's like, "Oh, the prodigal son returns," and then immediately it brings him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. The Mark 42 also has an amazing action sequence. And this is coming from someone who has a flight in a couple weeks, but the scene on Air Force One is so great when Iron Patriot's going in, just decimating everybody on
Yeah.
that plane. The best part, obviously, is when Tony
Barrel of
Stark-
monkeys.
Yeah, the barrel monkey
Yeah.
scene, exactly. He has to save like 100.
It's
he
like-
has to save 13 people.
Yeah.
They're all flying through the air because they've fallen out of a fucking airplane, and he has to catch
Which
them
I-
all. And he does. And
I
it's
feel like the
great.
force of that should have killed them. If not, I'm pretty sure one of them like literally hit their spine on the way out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
I
person
don't
is
know.
not okay. They're not going to be able to swim, I don't think.
But that would be such a fun stunt, because I think they did a lot of it for real. I feel like any superhero sequence that involves planes is always really great. Like Superman Returns has that scene where the plane is like falling and he has to catch it and the wings snap off or whatever. That's incredible too.
There's something so terrifying about Tony Stark just being like, "Yeah, I'll just electrify you so you can't close your
Oh,
hand."
that's so
Like literally just
scary.
like not being able to open your fucking
Yeah,
hand.
That's such a terrifying thing. And I'm like, has Tony Stark seen that before? Did he repulsor someone's hand and he just
Yeah, did he just
decimated?
did he just destroy all the nerves in someone's hand and just be like, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
Yeah, I mean, Okay, I gotta do a quick Twin Peaks thing for anyone.
Oh god.
The vice president, who also turns out to be, he's not a Nazi, but he is working for, like, extremists because his daughter is missing a leg and, they, like, repair that through the extremist stuff. So Rhodey calls him and he's like, hey, the president's about to die. Can you do something? And the vice president's like,
Nah,
I got
fam.
it. I got you. No, he says, I got you, Rhodey.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
And then he's like, "Nah,
and then he's
fam."
like, nah, fam. Anyway, Miguel Ferrer, who plays Vice President, he's Albert in Twin Peaks. He passed away a couple of years ago, which is really tragic. He's a fucking amazing actor. He's one of my favorite. Like, in Twin Peaks The Return, which is the third season, that only came out a couple of years ago, he is one of my favorite, like, performances in any scene ever. I'll put a little clip in of.
I hate to admit this, but I don't understand this situation at all.
No.
Do you understand this situation, Albert?
Blue Rose.
It doesn't get any bluer.
The president's name is Warren Ellis, who's a comic writer, which has always been weird to me. Like, that's a little too direct. That's why we were talking about David Carradine last week or whatever. I don't think his name's David Carradine, but
Does the president change in the MCU? Has he been mentioned after this?
apparently
I don't remember.
Barack Obama isn't the president also, which is weird to me.
Yeah.
In the comics, Barack Obama was the president. He teamed up with Spider-Man.
I mean, hell yeah.
I'm gonna put the link to that comic in the fucking
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
description. It's awesome. I'll send you a link when I'm listening to this. Like, read that. It's pretty short, but yeah, no. So
It's just like a comic strip. It's like 3 panels.
no, it's probably like
So Obama just being like, "Hey, Spider-Man, bye,
4
Spider-Man."
4 issues or something.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty great. Because Obama was a big old geek. Like, he was a nerd.
Obama becomes Spider-Man.
I mean, I think he might put on the costume or something. I don't remember. I don't totally remember. but that's really great. It's really fun.
It sounds like weird, like really weird fan fiction.
Almost. Maybe Obama wrote it. It was like, can you just put this under your name, J. Michael Straczynski, or whoever wrote that comic? But
Yeah, imagine being the president and having to let Marvel use your likeness in a comic with
I
Spider-Man.
think he asked for it. I think,
Yeah.
because he was a nerd, he made like a lot of Star Trek references in Office, which is great.
What
and
a cool
then,
guy.
yeah, he's awesome. I think it's always odd when there's a fictional president in a movie, and it's like, well,
That's not the president.
It's not the president. Yeah. I mean, in the DC universe, in the comics, Lex Luthor won the 2000 election, so that's a whole thing. But yeah,
Of course he did.
Yeah, he did. What do you think about Ty Simpkins in this? The kid, Harley. He's pretty good.
He's
Child
really
actors-
annoying.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I was about to say, usually child actors suck, but I think he's pretty good.
I mean, I don't think it's like his fault. I think he just doesn't have very good stuff to work with. It's just him
Sure.
annoying Tony until he has a panic attack and
Oh,
then leaving.
I like that. I like that he's kind of like. I like that Shane Black writes kids like adults sometimes. Like.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that most with Angry Rice and Nice Guys. Obviously, is. I don't know. I like him enough. He was at Tony Stark's funeral, Franny.
Yeah, he
Which
was.
is great. Yeah.
He was a teenager. He
Yeah,
didn't say anything. He
yeah.
was just there.
I mean, everybody was just there.
Yeah.
Which is good.
What do you think about Pepper dying for about 5 minutes?
I think it's effective initially because
It's
obviously now. Oh, you don't think so? Okay.
No.
Well, now we're in a world where we know she's gonna be fine. But for a second,
Not even then.
Really?
No.
Okay. For a second, I was like, oh, because anyone who dies in the MCU, people can die as long as they're not a main character. Like, you can have...
Pepper is a main character, though.
This was... Yeah, but she's not an Avenger.
Yeah.
Like, this is a world where Phil Coulson just died. We didn't know yet.
And then he came back in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Yeah,
but we don't
find
talk
that
about
in,
that.
like, a month, but we don't know that yet.
A month after Iron Man
I
3?
think so.
Oh, okay. I thought that was announced, like, right after Avengers.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't fucking care.
I thought that was your favorite show.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I've seen every episode. The first episode is all about Extremis, actually.
Really?
And then I think they forgot about movies until the Hydra thing happened, and then they forgot it again. And then Civil War happened, and then they forgot it again. Like everything, it's like, ugh.
Just get, like, the major stuff.
That's what they do.
Anything that involves S.H.I.E.L.D., just throw that in.
Which isn't
Make it not matter.
These days, there's like no Shield. Like Shield we haven't really had significant Shield stuff since
Nick
like
Fury and Maria Hill are still around. I
They're
can't
still
say your name,
around.
apparently.
they're still around.
Yeah.
But we hadn't really had major Shield stuff since like Winter Soldier. Or
Maybe
since,
because
like, Age of
they're
Ultron,
maybe because they're Nazis.
Yeah. The last time we saw a helicarrier was in Age of Ultron. Like that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I wish they drove a helicarrier into a space whale in Endgame. That would have been rad. Think about that, cutting a space whale open with a helicarrier. You turn it sideways. I'd watch. This movie is one of my favorite MCU movies, probably. It always will be. Just because I've seen it so many times, and it's got all that Shane Black stuff in it that I love. It's good.
It definitely has good aspects.
think
I just realized
mostly-
this is
mostly good though.
yeah, it's definitely a lot more good than bad. I was gonna say this is about to start sounding a lot like what I said about Spider-Man, and this is a lot better than Spider-Man.
It's so much better
Yeah.
than Spider-Man. Are you fucking kidding me?
There's a couple like minor problems.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
for the vast majority of the movie, it's really good.
It is really good. And I think that, I mean, there's more to say, but we should just read some listener stuff now. Maybe it'll fuel us if we have any things that we haven't brought up.
Maybe.
It'll probably help. Ben Berkowitz just says, great ideas, poorly executed. I think that might be true for the Mandarin thing, but I think most of the stuff kind of plays out exactly how I want it to play out. But my opinion on this movie probably doesn't count for that much, just because.
No, I
love it.
think you're right. Other than some of the Mandarin stuff, which even then they do most of it pretty good.
Yeah.
And they handle Tony's anxiety pretty well.
Yeah, that's the thing people have a big problem with, because not so much this movie, but more Age of Ultron, how he just gets over it. Like, it barely
Yeah,
bothers him again.
I feel like it definitely should have stuck around a little bit more. And I mean,
Because
It, like-
you don't just get over it.
oh no, it that takes like years. I'm trying to remember. I feel like it comes back once like Infinity War comes around.
And
I-
it comes vaguely in Age of Ultron, because he goes into, or he has that vision where
Yeah.
it's like the space whales or whatever.
For the most part, he just kind of
Dang.
goes back to normal after this, which I mean, that kind of just like defeats the purpose of this movie because like this entire movie is him dealing with it. So it's like it just never happened.
No, it should definitely be brought up more, I think. I think it's a really great aspect of this movie that he's like fucked up because of that. But then it's like we don't really deal with that again, but that's more for other movies.
Yeah, that's more of a problem with the other movies. That in this movie specifically, they do it really well.
I think so, yeah. Brandon T. McClure says, super underrated movie, still only the second best Iron Man movie, but I think it's a blast. The destruction of his home is truly breathtaking. Also, the score is one of the best in the whole MCU franchise. Yeah, Brian Tyler does like a really, kind of like a jazzy score sometimes, and it's really different. It's really great. I know Noah's about to bring that up. So much to get to his stuff. And that Malibu Mansion scene where it gets decimated is so great.
It's like iconic at this point.
The standout of this movie, for sure.
It's like the one thing people remember from this movie. But remember when the suits got blown up by missiles? She was crazy.
Great. It was fucking great. That's how the movie starts.
Yeah.
The first thing you see in this movie is those suits getting blown up. Yeah. Also, I love that this whole movie is something that he's just telling to Bruce Banner. Like, the entire thing.
With him not even paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that Shane Black always does that kind of, like, narration that knows it's narration. Like, in this, it's at the end, it's like, oh, well, obviously I was just talking to Bruce Banner. At the end of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, it's like, oh, I was just talking to the audience because this is a movie, which is... There's a lot of great stuff with narration where he's like, "Oh fuck, I forgot."
Yeah, I forgot to say this.
My bad. I'm like an old man.
You probably don't even care about this anymore, but fuck it, we're going back.
Bad narrator. Yeah, how Harry got to the party. Look, just bring them all back. Why don't we? Be fucking sappy about it.
Bring back Abraham Lincoln.
That's one of my favorite guys. It's like, what other director would literally put that in?
Fuck it, bring them all back.
Yeah.
What is this? What is this? Endgame?
I'm a bear. What do I know? Lawrence Fishburne voices the bear in that.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, and the Bumblebee and Nice Guys, that's Hannibal Buress. So,
well, yeah, I could tell that.
Yeah, there's a lot of great...
He's a very distinct voice.
Voice cameos in those movies, I love them. Michael Tanner says... Yeah, okay. Michael Tanner says, the whole movie is an essay on Cap's big man in a suit of armor. Take that away, what are you? It kind of is. It's like a lot of Tony just having to figure it out on his own. Most of the time he does, which is really great. Oh, and I have to bring up my favorite line in the whole film, which is very simple, but very important. And my brother and I say this all the time.
Oh, God.
It's a big bunny! Relax about it! I love
it. Normal!
Why is that in this movie, and where can I get one?
Because it's Shane Black.
Because it's Shane Black. He loves that.
I mean, it's a Disney PG-13 movie, so they couldn't have, like, straight-up nudity like there is in the other two.
Guys,
but... They got close enough with a giant bunny.
What the fuck does that mean?
That bunny has huge tits. Like, that's the closest they're gonna get to, like, full-on nudity in a Disney movie.
God, that's going in the folder. That bunny has
You're welcome.
Huge tits. That's great.
You're welcome.
That's
I hope
great.
you enjoy that.
I love that. Thank you. There's a compilation coming at some point.
Of all the terrible, weird things I say.
Just throw it out on the feed at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Doing it to myself.
Jordan Edwards says... Maybe the best action choreography in the MCU, up there with Winter Soldier. This is also the first movie that capitalized on solo cinematic universe ventures. It's entirely informed by a previous movie outside the main Iron Man series. That's getting into what we talked about, where it's more of a sequel to the Avengers than the other Iron Man movies. But I think if you just wanted to watch the 3 Iron Man movies and you knew the Avengers was a film, it works well enough. I mean, it helps to see them all, obviously.
I mean, if you just want to watch the Iron Man movies, it's like... Just watch 1 and 2, and then watch the last, like, half an hour of the Avengers, and then just watch this, and you'll get it.
Yeah. No, something that fascinates me in shared universes is when I try to look at it as, like, a normal person, how would it be watching just the trilogy?
Just like it.
Like, if you watch the 3 Captain America movies, or the 3 Thor movies, I think the Thor movies work better than the Captain America ones, too.
The Captain America ones, I feel like you kind of can't watch as a trilogy.
I think you could watch the first 2, and then 3 you kind of have to know more about the Avengers for that. You have to know about Age of Ultron, is the main thing.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think what he said about action choreography, we've talked about a lot about the fight scenes in this, and they're some of my favorites. For sure, the mansion. I had that Lego set. I had all the Lego sets for this movie.
Of course you did.
They were all great. Like, I think I still have the boat which is somewhere.
I feel like
War Machine up there.
I feel like I
I
had
don't know why he's in it. He's not in the movie.
I had a Lego set from one of the Iron Man movies, but I don't remember which
I think
one.
Iron Man 3 is the only one that has Lego sets. Because this is when the Marvel movies started having Lego sets.
I think it might have been the first
Avengers was the first one. I know my Lego history, Franny. There was one that had the Mandarin in a little car. There's one that's a boat and has the Mandarin. And then there's one...
This is going to bother me.
It's
Hold on.
the Malibu Mansion. Whatever, Franny.
I will
What are you saying?
read off what more people say while I try to find the Lego set that I had when I was like 5.
Noah says, maybe, I hope it's like it's not Lego, like it's like one of those weird ripoff, like one of the NECA Legos. Like
No, I know
brick
it was
lines.
definitely Lego.
Alright. Noah says, maybe Tony's best movie. Really awesome character piece that is both standalone and also builds on Avengers. Incredibly underrated, funny, and entertaining. Far from the best MCU movie, but definitely not the trash that people say. It's a fun time and has a killer main theme. Brian Tyler is a god. Once again, Noah, you're absolutely spot on. And Josh Johnson says, oh, he has a lot to say. He says, I'll probably get castrated for saying this, but it's my favorite MCU movie. Not saying it's the best made, but it's the one I enjoyed the most, partly because it was the first one I saw in theaters. Seeing Tony in such a vulnerable state of mind is the closest thing we could get to Demon in a Bottle. The action was great and creative, the house getting destroyed was crazy, the Air Force One rescue was sweet, also because they actually did the airdropping to film it, and it was cool to see Stark do something outside the armor. I know a lot of people say he does a lot of idiotic things in the movie, but here's a bulletin defense. He hasn't slept in days, and as we know, lack of sleep gives a drunken effect, so that's why he makes odd decisions. As for the Mandarin twist, I loved it. If they're going for a real-world setting, making him a terrorist, but then also a decoy makes perfect sense. More than guy gets powered rings from a spaceship that was carrying dragons, and if that twist was a Mission Impossible or something like that, no one would care. Sorry for the long comment, but being it's my favorite and people constantly shit on it, I try to do my best to defend it. And I completely agree with pretty much everything he said. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies for sure. I know I'm probably in a minority there, but again, Shane Black fanboy, number one. Did you find the set that doesn't exist?
I'm still looking for it.
It doesn't exist. It's not a thing.
I'm gonna keep looking for it until I find it. I swear to God.
Alright. Kyle McDonald says, watch a menagerie of special application Iron Man suits get misused as Iron Man wears a misfunctioning prototype while waiting for an attack. Then he makes friends with a kid and blows them all up. What I want to say about that is why, Tony Stark, would you go on public record and say, this is my house? Would you like to come to my house?
To a terrorist.
But not just to a terrorist, to anybody. Do you know how many fucking people can turn up and go see Tony Stark now?
Oh yeah, literally the like first 3 helicopters that were at his house were literally like the media.
Yeah.
So
and you just see him on the news.
yeah.
Maya just shows up. We're still at Ding Dong. We need to be at total lockdown. I threatened a terrorist. I like how concerned Pepper and Rhodey are for him constantly. And then, if you remember last week, Brian, whose last names I couldn't pronounce because they're German, says, it is, contrary to popular belief, actually the worst Iron Man movie, and it pains me to say it because there's so many elements I like. R-Dog, the Kid, Ben Kingsley, and Shane Black, but it's just not very good. While Ben Kingsley is playing the Mandarin, he's one of the most intimidating villains Marvel has put on screen. I think that's why the twist just didn't work at all for me. Why? Why would he have to actually be a bubbling idiot? Well, Brian, whose last names I still cannot pronounce, I disagree with you. But I think you raised good points, and I think you really got into why people don't like that twist. He's really fucking intimidating whenever you see him in this movie. He's shooting normal people in the face on television, which is really fucked up. But I still think it works. Mostly, again, that one scene with Rhodey is kind of like, oh, this is a little overkill, but I don't know. Did you find something that doesn't exist?
It wasn't Lego.
No shit, it wasn't Lego, Franny.
Previously.
Maybe, I hope it's it's not Lego, like it's like one of those weird rip-off.
No, I know it was definitely Lego.
Lego didn't get the Marvel rights until 2012.
Well, you know who did?
Who?
Mega Bloks.
I knew it! I knew it'd be something dumb. What was the set?
It's from Iron Man 2. So I was right about the movie,
Oh,
but
it's not very good. It's
Yeah.
not a very good set at all. You should find that Malibu Mansion set. That was rad. It had a little blender, and you make a little smoothie in it. It had little green, circle blocks in it, like the studs from Lego games. It was just like a little glass thing. You shake it. and you could blow up the mansion. It had all the suits, and you just like the helicopters come in, and you press these things that flips up the suits. It was fucking great. Alex Ryan says, top tier MCU, maybe the best Iron Man movie. Yes, I think so. Funny and fun with super creative action sequences whenever Tony has to figure out what to do without a full suit. And the plane sequence showing something all too rare in the MCU, a hero just straight up saving people. On top of all this, it's a hell of a character study exploring who Tony is and how and why he can claim to be a hero. Works perfectly to close out his arc if you watch the Iron Man series on its own, or to set up his worries for Age of Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War if you watch it in the MCU. It rocks. 100% agree, Alex Ryan. Are we ready to go?
Yeah. I'm ready to re-engage.
Okay, awesome.
After looking at Legos for like 10 minutes.
Oh, story of my life. Okay, Paul says, hi Paul. Paul says, very good movie. Been a while since I've watched it though. The fact that they're adding the actual Mandarin after they basically said he isn't real is weird. The honey that could be the title of my autobiography line is comedy gold. All the non-suit stuff showing how good Tony is on his wits is incredible. Jurassic World kid is good. Yeah, it's the kid from Jurassic World. If you don't remember.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah. Very fun movie. The PTSD is handled well. Very interesting. Tony and Pepper seem like people who are actually in a relationship together again. And big teddy bear. It's not a teddy bear, Paul. It's a big bunny. Relax about it.
It's normal!
Oh man, Iron Man 3. How much I love you. You're great. Okay, is that it? What are your closing thoughts about this? Unless you have other things that you want to bring up.
I think we got to everything. I still like Iron Man 2 more.
Okay, yeah. Do you like Iron Man 1 more is the question. There's no big bunnies in Iron Man 1.
It's still a better movie.
Yeah, it's probably a better movie.
I honestly, I don't think I could pick between the two. They're both just so good.
Yeah, they're pretty different, honestly.
Oh, they're like completely different.
This does good Pepper and Tony arguing.
Yeah.
Unlike 2, which is fucking
I think
unlistenable.
I think it does good Tony and Pepper arguing because it's actually like valid now. And also, it's not the entire movie.
And it feels real, I think. It feels much more real than in 2, where it's like, this is comedy. Like, it's not people actually talking, it's... I don't know. Oh,
okay, a small scene that would have scared the shit out of me in real life. Tony having a nightmare, and then the suit coming to, like... that shit looks terrifying.
I remember that was in, like, the first trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this gonna be? Yeah. Last little thing. Tony Stark's little dance that he does at the start to the Christmas music. Drop My Needle. It's so great. Do you remember?
Oh, shit, yeah.
I don't think enough superheroes dance in these movies. I will say. If I had to give one major critique on the whole MCU, not enough dancing. What do you think?
Peter Quill doesn't make up for it?
Star-Lord does a lot of dancing.
Yeah, he doesn't make up for it?
No, because that's like 3 movies worth. 2 movies worth. Because he doesn't do that much dancing in Infinity War because his girlfriend dies or whatever.
Yeah, because that's like a serious
almost
serious movie.
No dancing. Still jokes, no dancing.
Yeah, all jokes, no dancing.
Next week, we're doing the Wolverine, which I'm really excited for you to see because I don't think you've seen it.
I haven't, and
I like that movie quite a bit.
I think I haven't even seen, or I have seen one scene from it. But other than that, I think I've seen like a trailer, and that's it.
Bye.
Gabe didn't do the social media, so we gotta do it again.
I'm back, everybody. We're back. Don't even worry about it.
Post-credit scene.
You can find... This is our post-credit scene. I'm not that kind of doctor. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, at Marvel Movie Pod. You can find me on Instagram at FlipDeg. You can find me on Twitter at FlipDeg with the unique is a 3. You can email us at marvelmoviepod@gmail.com. Franny's house was blown up by terrorists. They're trying to recruit him for the extremist program. Other things that happened in Iron Man 3.
That's not what happened in Iron Man 3.
Thanks for listening.
They didn't blow up his house and then try to recruit him.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, whatever.
She's like, we can use him, remember? Rebecca Hall's
right.
like, we can use him.
Stay safe, wash your hands. Don't inject yourself with explodey powers.
Bye.
Bye, stay safe, wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
It's a big bunny, relax about it.
I got this for you.